Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasevich.
Welcome everyone to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This week on episode 345, we're going to be talking about YouTube corrections, a new feature from YouTube. I think a lot of people are going to like this. We know that YouTube has a few challenges at times if you upload a video and let's just say something's wrong and whatnot with that video. So with that, I'm going to go and bring on Sarah Monroe, co-host here for Social Chatter. And we're going to kick things off. We got other great news topics to discuss as well. So Sarah, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going? And hopefully we won't have to use the YouTube correction on this video, right?
Absolutely, right?
Given the full moon and everything else that's happened this morning.
Yeah.
Anything's possible. So
very possible, yes. And this is pre-recorded, right?
Well, now it is.
Yes.
So. Now it is. So we had a host, we had a guest scheduled again, technology in life just happens. So we just roll with it. But we're here talking about YouTube corrections, which is going to be an awesome feature for those of us who do these live shows, right? We can just jump right into the news. So what YouTube has announced is a way to create little markers in your live video to indicate when there's a correction. So up until now, when you've done a live video or you've uploaded a video, you've gotten views and comments and responses, and you may know that you misspoke or new data comes out, new tools come out, right? Our show every week, the social media news changes, features are eliminated, right? So sometimes our videos change even the day after we talk about it, right? Or maybe we say a different data point. So what this is going to allow us to do is put that little marker up in the right-hand corner of the video to let people know to look in the description. So up until now, if we had a correction, we would just put it in the description, or we would reply to the comments, or you'd have to take down the video entirely, recut it, and bring it back up, and you lose all of that traffic and engagement that you had from the original one. So this is going to let you put these great little markers up there. You can, and as you can see, it can say correction 1. It'll give the little timestamp in the description, and you can add things to it. What I think is really cool, the Creator Insider actually mentioned this too, is that you could also direct people to a supplement, right? So say we do a follow-up to this show, we can put in that little correction saying, hey, watch more, we learned more about it, or we could do a little demo and lead people to that. So I think it's going to be a great little, a great tool for us to enhance and add more information, be a little more journalistic too, right? Put in these little markers and say the original, we now have updated information, and go check this out, or here's the correct data. What do you think, Christian?
So I got to say, this reminds me a lot of, well, I got a couple of things actually on this. One is previously, if you ever needed to make a correction, you had to delete the existing video and upload a new video. And, that's how YouTube works. Vimeo lets you actually overwrite the video. And I understand why YouTube does that. And so it required a lot of extra work. In addition to that, YouTube had a feature where you could add, for example, you could add a clickable link over top the video that would have some sort of, note, for example, like it might say something like, new video here, updated for 2022 or something. And so I like that they're adding this. This also actually really plays really well with YouTube chapter markers that you could add in, if you kind of think about it. This is essentially along the same lines of optimizing videos. So when you make a video and you need to move into, now if you need to make an update, I like the fact that the corrections are there versus somebody has to go through the entire video to actually find those corrections. So I really, really, really like the way that is. It'll be really interesting to see if this also moves into any sort of, hey, could you add in an additional little video blurb, maybe like a video message? I'm not sure, but
Yeah, you can or not. I can see why they're not letting us do that, because it's the same way not editing a tweet, right? When a video goes viral, gets shared out, you don't want someone to be able to substantively change the video. And then those that shared it may not know that there has been significant changes to it, and they've shared it. And then you have to go through and figure out what changed, right? So this, like I said, a journalistic aspect to it, where, there's times where you read something online and on the Washington Post, it'll say updated. This was changed from the original format to reflect this new information, right? And so this is the same way, but just in video format.
Yeah. I think this can be a really useful update. Now, do you happen to know how people go about adding this? Like if I need to add a correction, or is it just kind of, hey, we're working on it and this will come out at some point?
It sounds like it's rolling out this week. Honestly, I haven't checked any of my videos to see if I could add it, but it sounds like it's coming, and should be, on different people's channels very soon. So
very cool. Yeah. And it does say that corrections info. So if you're used to it, there's usually an info button at the top. That's basically where, if there's a correction, it would pop up and somebody be able to then click and see that. So this is really good. Really good feature.
It will pop up at the right time of the video playing. So you can see it in the description, where the little, as you said, the channel markers are. The chapter markers is going to show up right in there. So it looks like automatically timestamping too, which is true.
And it does say to add a correction to your YouTube clips, you can write correction : or corrections : within the description, followed by the timestamp.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat. That's actually really cool.
It's pretty cool. So, it's a little scary, but it's pretty cool. The whole auto chaptering is very cool, let me say, so that I don't have to do it, but it's also a little creepy. So.
It is, yeah. And remember, again, this is, I'm just going to say this real quick before we move on to the next topic. It's the fact that when you're making a YouTube video, you want to make sure you spend the time optimizing the content. You don't just want to throw up a video. You want to be very deliberate with what videos you're publishing, what your title is, what your description, your tags are. Again, you want to, so just like you write a blog post and you optimize it for a keyword or multiple keywords, you would do the same thing for videos to get people to see it. And then also make sure you put in all of those things that YouTube wants to see. Chapter markers, for example, in this case, corrections. So then this way, you don't have to actually go and necessarily re-record an entire video, or, you could change an instruction or something. So very good update. I like this. Okay.
Yeah.
So Sarah, where do we go next?
So next, we've got a quick update. As part of Twitter shopping, they have rolled out what they're calling product drops. So this is when it's mostly bigger brands, or I know some little Etsy shops, right, that say, hey, Tuesday, I have new things coming out. So what this is going to do is allow merchants to add announcements about new products, and then users can click on get reminder about that product, so that when it does launch, that they get the reminder and then they can go purchase it. So I think, we think of this mostly for big brands who are doing really big product launches. But I think there's a lot of application for smaller businesses to use this too. So help generate buzz about your product. You can see who's engaging with your content, right? For the user side, you can click get reminder. What it does, if you look at those little boxes in our screen share, it pulls up a description that the merchant has created about that product, so that you can see what you're getting the reminder about first, rather than just get the reminder, right? And then, of course, you can jump right off and shop at the website, which we always like to be able to do, is add that little shopping widget there so that people can jump off and buy something. So that's really all there is to it. It's starting this week in the US, English only, and iOS users. And the vendors are only managed partners who are part of Twitter shopping. So not rolling out to everybody, not rolling out to Android. So it's very limited. Again, part of this whole testing scheme that Twitter seems to be on really the last year and a half, is really try something out, see how it goes, and then launch it more broadly.
Very cool. Yeah, this is again, I mean, it's not like we really need more reminders, but it is nice to at least be able to get a reminder. I guess I like what Twitter's doing here in terms of, making it just adding a lot of these nice little features here. I mean, I don't know about you, but do you shop a lot on Twitter at all? And
I really, don't use Twitter much at all. What I will say is I work mostly in the nonprofit space and the public sector. So I'm not using Twitter as much, except when it comes to advocacy. So there are a lot of advocacy campaigns that I want to get in front of reporters or I want to get in front of legislators. And so for those audiences, yes, Twitter is great. And I have to say also, for the nonprofit sector too, if we're launching an online auction, if we are, like, say, opening up registration for a race that is very popular, right, that this is a way to notify people so that they don't feel like they're missing out or they forgot what time it's happening. It's just a great in-app feature.
Very cool. I gotta say, I like what Twitter's doing. I like that they're testing all these new features. I think that it's they're starting to move a lot of things. So hopefully they'll be able to get their users back. Awesome.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay. So Sarah, we've talked YouTube, we've talked Twitter. What other social media news happens?
Every week we're talking about LinkedIn. It's actually been kind of slow for social media news lately, except for LinkedIn. They have led the show or been a significant piece in the show every week for the last, 2 months or something. So the new thing that LinkedIn is coming out with is a business manager. It's going to look very much like the business manager that you're used to if you're using Meta Business Manager. So it's going to be a place where you can manage people, pages, advertising, segmented lists, your partners, your match audiences, all of that is going to land into Business Manager. I'm actually really excited to see how this happens because right now I have to flip between a bunch of different pages that I manage, and having one dashboard is going to be really, really helpful. I hope that this is a sign of more things to come for page managers. LinkedIn is really pushing business pages. And so this is a service that really helps those people who manage business pages and who don't use third-party apps like Agora Pulse or Sprout Social or Hootsuite or something like that. So I think this is fantastic. It's a long blog post like LinkedIn usually publishes. Definitely something to check out. It didn't really say how it's rolling out. I saw this news yesterday. I haven't had a chance to dive in to see if it's something that I need to set up or if it automatically comes up for me. But it looks like it's a great new tool to manage your LinkedIn business pages. And it sounds like it's also going to be connected with all of the great ad tools that LinkedIn has. And I have to say, LinkedIn is really crushing it when it comes to those ad tools, list segmentations. They may even be rolling out a CRM. So this actually is coming together with another announcement that they're calling B2B Edge, which is a new marketing tool. So they've taken all of the marketing modules that they've put out in the last year and rolled it up into this B2B Edge. So it gives you some of the basics about marketing and list segmentation and target audiences and things like that. And then it gets really into diving into your ad performance and tweaking that out and testing and all of that. So all of that great LinkedIn learning stuff is for brands is in that B2B Edge. So what do you think, Christian?
I gotta say, I should have probably expected this, that LinkedIn was going to come out with something that rivals the Facebook side. This is a much needed tool.
Yeah.
So
what they don't have is scheduling yet. So we're going to have to see, will this bring in scheduling? I'd love to see it.
It would be nice. But here's the thing. You got to remember, LinkedIn has some different policies as well. They try to discourage using some of the, sort of, I wouldn't call that clickbait, but they try to discourage using some of those types of tactics. For example, this episode, they would prefer us to do this live versus, doing pre-recorded, but most other platforms don't care if something's pre-recorded. So it'd be really interesting to see what they end up doing with the scheduling feature. But I like that they're rolling out a tool to help, because again, we also, I mean, you and I were talking about this before the show, and there's so many topics. We're like, you know what? We always talk about LinkedIn for like the whole month practically. And so now, like, I'm like, oh, well, this is actually pretty good news, actually. So
this is really good news. Yeah. And you and I have been diving more into LinkedIn Learning as well.
Yeah.
And so it's great that this B2B Edge is kind of packaging that, making it just a little bit easier, so you don't have to run down the LinkedIn Learning catalog of things. They're actually saying, hey, we think these things are important for businesses. So, which a lot of the platforms are, because let's face it, they want us to use the ads, right? They want us to pay for things. They want us to use all the features, and so give us the tools to use that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So Sarah, do we have any more social media news for the rest of the week?
We do. The next two kind of tie in together. So I may jump around with this a little bit. So both TikTok and Instagram are actually rolling out some new tools about prompts for the amount of time that you are spending on their platforms in an effort to really promote well-being. And so TikTok, jumping into this, we know that Facebook, Meta, Instagram, they've all had these parental controls, and the parental, I think they call it the family center, right? Here's where we can add that little correction if I'm wrong, right? If I misspeak, we can always add that little YouTube correction. Anyway, TikTok is going to have these little prompts to remind people to take screen breaks. It's also giving you some usage tracking. If you're familiar with this, on an iOS phone anyway, it gives you screen time metrics, things like that. TikTok is now giving you a chance to see how much time are you actually spending. It almost looks a little bit like a Fitbit, if you've ever used Fitbit, your little Fitbit dashboard that lets you know, maybe I'm spending too much time on TikTok. So there are reminders. You can set manual reminders, or you can set reminders at 10, 20, 30 minutes, because let's face it, these short little snackable videos, it's really easy to just sit and watch. I don't watch a lot of TikTok. I watch mostly Instagram Reels. Actually, I watch a lot of Instagram Reels, to be honest. So having that little reminder would be great, because you just think, oh, it's just a minute, or it's just 2 minutes, and suddenly a whole hour evaporates. The other piece of this is that they are putting out a well-being guide with tips and tricks on how to limit your screen time, how to be active, just recognizing that social media is having an impact on our mental health, and on our interactions with the real world. So it's nice to see that TikTok is doing this. The next piece that we're going to talk about is Instagram doing the same kind of thing. So why don't I just jump right into that? Instagram is expanding their parental supervision. Most of the announcement that they had this week was about their VR Quest headsets, and giving parents a chance to look at and approve in-app purchases, to see what their children may have been purchased in the past. You can block apps. You can actually block the headset from connecting to a computer, and getting into all of that may end run all the parental controls that you have on the headset by going into the computer. You can limit screen time. And then with IG, you can also limit children's use time of day. So let's say they're either in class, or they're in a camp, or they should be doing something else. You can make sure that you can block Instagram during those time periods, so that it's not even a temptation, right? You just know that you aren't going to be able to use Instagram at that time. Might not be a bad idea for us office workers too. Sometimes it's a great little break in the day, but if you know you've got to focus between 2 and 4, maybe we can set our own parental controls. That would be great, right? There's also going to be little nudges too. I don't know if anybody who's watching this has tried the time on the app thing. So it basically takes over your whole screen and reminds you, hey, you spent 20 minutes or 30 minutes today. And you can dismiss it, or it can be a good nudge for you to say, okay, it's time to put down the phone. So I think this is a great expansion. It's interesting to see how Meta and TikTok are recognizing this, given all the research that's come out over the last couple of years about mental health and social media use. So what do you think, Christian?
I like the addition of limiting screen time. I will also say this. I've actually been experimenting with that because, for example, iOS has that functionality. So you can set, you have to really dig into the menus. And that's why I like having it in the app. But, you can dig in, I like the fact that you can set a timer. I think the other thing is you got to exercise a little self-control, some restraint there as well. So I know on the app, at least on iOS, I know that they allow me to, say, hey, you get 2 hours of this a day, and then you could actually dismiss it and restart it basically. And so I like the addition that Instagram would be adding there. I think that's going to be a very useful feature. Again, it's going to be about getting people, to kind of exercise some self-control and stop, being on the platform so much. That is, I think that is the hardest part. I think it's going to be about bringing that to the forefront, and then having the wherewithal to know that, I need to go take a break. So, but I love all these updates that they're rolling out. How do you feel about granular control? Do you think that things are getting too granular? Like, should the platform be controlling this, or should the user be controlling that?
It's, that's a really interesting question. I have to say one of the controls that I use on Instagram, one of those timer controls, gives me a prompt. So for some of the accounts that I manage on Instagram, I try to make sure that I log in every day or every other day. Some accounts are pretty quiet. But Instagram likes engagement. So I try to engage, even if I don't have something to post, I try to engage. And then that timer pops up at 10 minutes. And I say, okay, great. I've done what I need to do for that account to show Instagram that this is a good community contributor to Instagram, and hopefully gives a little bit of an algorithm push. But from the user perspective, like you said, I'm an iOS user. I haven't tried Android to know what kind of controls are there. It's more difficult. Like you said, you have to dive really deep into the menus to find these things. And when you can just set it very quickly in your settings, when you're doing some other things, I think it's a good reminder, right? Like I use the sleep app on my iPhone, right? But I also have a bedtime reminder on YouTube too, right? So if I might be watching YouTube before I go to sleep, like a lot of people, it reminds me. I've got my phone reminding me, and I've got my app reminding me to treat myself well, right? And to look out for my own well-being. So I think it may be a combination for people.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I gotta say, this has been a great week for social media news. Did we have anything else you want to talk about, or
there is one more thing? No, we got one more thing. And that is Instagram, more Instagram news. Instagram is launching the Amber Alert system. So this has actually been a very successful tool on Facebook since 2015, where Meta is working with police departments right now. Instagram is working with the National Centers for Missing and Exploited Children, the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children, National Crime Agency in UK, Attorney General in Mexico, the Australian Federal Police, and other federal agencies around the world. They've got a handful of countries that they list from North America, EU, South America, South Asia right now, and the United Arab Emirates are on the list. So what happens is, if a police department, a law enforcement agency that's nearby you launches an Amber Alert, it's going to show up in your Instagram feed. So nearby you, remember, a lot of us have turned off those location services. So if you have a location listed in your profile, or if you are using location services while you're using an app, or if you have it on all the time, that Amber Alert will pop up. So they've proven that this has helped when it comes to Amber Alerts on Facebook. So they're bringing it on to Instagram in recognition that, a lot more people use Instagram now.
Smart
so
idea.
that's I think it's a great idea. If we can all help find a missing child, that's a great it's a great use of social media tools, right?
Yeah. And I gotta say, the only addition I think I would have to something like that would just be, if you have kids, for example, they're using your phone, things like that, and you have these sorts of features on, this might be a good opportunity to talk to them as well, to let them know, hey, if you see this, hey, come and tell me about it, for example, things like that, to make them aware of what that is and, how important it is. So
Exactly. There are two more pieces of news that were breaking news. We're going to chat about it just a tiny bit. Sure. And that is Instagram Reels is expanding to 90 seconds. Our friend Adam posted that in a new reel this week. He grew a beard. If anybody follows his reels like I do, he's been off for a couple of weeks. He grew a beard. And so he's now announcing some of the new tools. There's going to be some fun stickers and things like that. The other big piece of news that was announced yesterday, late afternoon, by Mari Smith, is that she noticed that Creator Studio is letting her schedule reels and stories to Facebook. So this is a really big deal. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't seen many screenshots other than Mari's first little post about it. But that will surely lead our news for next week.
Fantastic. Well, this has been an amazing episode. I mean, lots of really great news this week. We'll likely be back next week with our regularly scheduled show. We got to work on our guest and figure out if that one's going to be live or pre-recorded. I think we're still working out some of the details. Yep. But this has been episode 345 of Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. If you want to check out the blog post, we'll have one go out over the weekend, socialchefs.com/SC345. With that, by the way, be sure you connect with Sarah. Sarah, you're on LinkedIn. And what should they put in the notes?
Just let me know that you saw me on Social Chatter, and I'm happy to connect. Keep in mind, I have creator mode activated. So you need to click on the three little dots, and the drop down will show you how to connect and add a personal note.
Fantastic. And I'm Christian Kirasevich Christian Kirasevich on LinkedIn. Again, add a note there, and you can also connect with us at Social Chefs on all the social media platforms. But with that, we'll see you all next week. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. Bye.